So we are very excited that we got granted this project for the second time. There was already a first round of S+T+ARTS for Water, as you might have heard. And this time we decided specifically to focus on the concept or the context of ports and their ecosystems, which is specific about this call. We found that with regards to sustainability questions in water management, ports are really relevant players, especially in terms of our changing globalized contexts. And they are very much sometimes big organizations that are disconnected from different communities, but where you can really find a number of all the water management challenges connected to these ecosystems. So from invasive species to flooding or a lack of water to different kinds of pollution. So in infrastructure problems, the changes in terms of how the ports work. And then, of course, since STARTS projects are like STARTS stands for Science, Technology, and Arts, the ports are really great partners to collaborate with, because this is where a lot of the tech innovation happens with regard to, at the same time, scientific research. So we also often have scientific and innovation research hubs within the port areas. Then, of course, ports are also under a lot of pressure in meeting ecological standards, and there's a lot of movement here that we would like to connect to that is very positive in terms of really looking into how can we create a sustainable future. So for instance, we are connecting, of course, to the European Green Deal in general, but we are also endorsed by ESPO, and we are connecting to the ESPO Green Guide, how to transform ports to a green future. We are endorsed by the AIVP, and they are developing the AIVP Agenda 2030 for sustainable port cities. And then there is the EU Mission Charter that was also released recently to restore our oceans and waters. And then, of course, there are the UN Sustainability Development Goals, clean water and sanitation, sustainable cities and communities, and life below water. And especially for our call, also often life below water is something that is very interesting for us as a perspective that can be added to the questions and how industries would approach them, let's say. And these are all documents that you can also use for your application. These are pointers that can also help you when you start your research, when you want to create your proposal to look into. Yes, then I would now give over as one example, and it's very nice that he's here today, because we are also showing some images of your work from the first round. So Claudius Schulze also is an artist who has created a work in the first round of STARTS for Water. So yeah, please, if you want, can you introduce the two challenges that are in Austria? Is Claudius here? I think your mic is off. You can also not, you cannot activate your microphone.
Let's see. No, it should work.
Okay, perfect. Okay, great. Thanks.
Can you hear me? Yes.
Yes.
I'm Claudius Schulze. I'm an artist and also artistic director of the Klimabiennale Wien, and I'm talking now with that hat on, for the Klimabiennale Wien. It took place for the first time, or takes place for the first time this year. It opened a bit more than a month ago and will run until 14th of July. And it's the Klimabiennale Wien is a new biennial that is focusing on the societal, political, environmental aspects of the climate crisis. As such, the Klima Biennale is not that much interested in ecology, actually, but rather in all the things that we as a society need to do to achieve or to still reach the 1.5 degree goal. And even if we manage to do that, so to kind of live, survive, handle the still traumatic consequences of climate crisis, and everything that is needed to kind of, be able to cope with the traumatic changes. The economic system, the political system will need to do so to kind of maintain the free democratic welfare states that and societies that we live in. The Klima Biennale always consists of a lot of partners and partnership projects. So for us, it was very natural to join the STARTS call and to get local partners as well as international partners involved. The two challenges that we have, both of them focus on the river Danube. So more on the linkages between ports than ports as such. And the two challenges we are hosting might sound very similar when you read them quickly, but if you look carefully, there's a very, very big difference between the two. Both of them have research partners, and that is the BOKU, the university that is looking, a research university that is looking at, for example, river systems. And for the one, it is the Institute for Hydrobiology, and for the other one, it is the Institute for Hydroengineering. So basically, the framework, the methodology, the background, everything that kind of is being put on the table before the researchers start working is really coming from the opposite directions. And that is really the main difference. Both challenges look at the river systems in general and the Danube in particular as a built environment. Of course, the Danube changed tremendously from the times that it was a free-flowing river to that kind of channel-like thing it is now for large stretches. And the question is, what are the impacts of that now? What can we learn from these changes? What can we learn from the organisms that still live in the river and their coping mechanisms?
Thank you, Claudius. That was a very good introduction. I'm so sorry because we had to add you.
No worries. I just have a
timeline. We have to continue, but
no worries. I just have one last sentence.
Yes.
I just have one that is, I think, quite important. And that means that for the challenge that is by the Hydrobiology Institute, the residency will start with a long field trip along the river. And for the other one, the hydrobiology, it will start with an intensive time at the hydroengineering lab where they kind of test different constructions of the river. The results will be exhibited at the Biennale 26. That is also quite important.
And you find in our challenge catalog all the details about all the challenges. And then this is the nice link. I think that this introduction into the challenges of Klima Biennale also already give you a very good idea of what is special about STARTS residencies, what is the STARTS methodology. And here we actually have images from Claudius' work, and you can see, but I'm not going to say too much, but that they were tracing the bird migration movements, I think. But let's not get into that in terms of infrastructural changes, I think, if I'm not remembering incorrectly. But yes, so you can see already, and this leads me to the application groundworks. And there we start with the STARTS methodology and timeline that when you will apply, you will need to understand a little bit how these residencies work. And they work in the way that the cultural partners in the different countries build an expert group, as you have heard, and they connect to the ports and to different research players. All of the details you find in the calls. And it is the idea that throughout the time of your residency, you will connect with these, on the one hand, with the facilities, on the other hand, with the stakeholders, with the expertise, and that there is a sort of exchange that is mutually beneficial. And it is said that there should be a minimum of 4, and then it can go up to 8 meetings throughout the 9 months of the residency. And these partners were also there in making the call together with the cultural partners. So we have this expert group as a key element in the middle. And I think really understanding this methodology, diving into it and looking at the different phases of how a residency process is structured will help you when you do your proposal, your work plan, and your portfolio. So you can see we are already here. We are already trying to connect. That means we are connecting you to the expert groups throughout our selection process. And then in this part, you can actually do the residency. And then there is the dissemination part that also is like a added 5th phase to the residency. So the residency 9 months consists of those 4 phases. And then you have a 5th extra phase of dissemination activities. And here it is very important that you also check in each of the challenge descriptions for the specifics, in what way you might have to be available, for instance, with Klimabiennale, depending on when it happens. In the dissemination phase, you also need to be available. No? And then you have to create your work plan and your methodology based on these phases and on the timing. And how do you plan your project with these specifics in mind? Yeah, and you can see that we have these phases roughly stretched into months. And it's the idea that you create a proposal by researching, first of all, the challenge and really responding to the challenge specifically. But that you also, when you get picked, you connect in the first phase with the players, and then together with the culture institution, you define the concrete plan of what is going to happen and how you're going to approach it. And then there's the development phase where you start developing the work and maybe also come up with like a first rough showcase, mini showcase. Yeah, then there is an evaluation phase where then also there can be feedback and things can be even improved. And then eventually, yeah, I mean, this is a rough sketch that helps you understand how we work. Here again, a little bit in words, not going to go into that too much. Then, as I already mentioned, you have heard this word many times. You have the challenges catalog on the website. Is a PDF with all the descriptions. We have 20 challenges at 9 partners in 8 different countries. And you, on the one hand, have the local challenge criteria that will help you know what is the context that I'm working in. And then you have residency characteristics. And here you see, for instance, with regard to the local expert group, who are the different people involved, what are the activities that I will ask to organize, because within the bigger frame of the project, you might also be asked to organize educational activities or a debate or intermediary showcase. That really depends on the specific partner. And this is also something that happens in the first phase, that really there's a collaboration that is being created. And we are working with an innovation catalyst from the culture institution that will guide you through this entire process. So you're not alone in that. You are very much being mentored. So one of the perks of these residencies is that you also get mentorship in how to create a collaborative artistic research project on a big scale. Okay. Yes, there was the question coming up if it is possible to apply for more than one challenge. And that is indeed a possibility, but the absolute maximum per applicant that you need to respect is 2 challenges. These 2 challenges cannot be at the same organization. So you have to pick 2 different challenges in 2 different organizations. You cannot use in general identical proposals, and generally we want proposals that are specifically geared to our call, no generalized proposals. And yeah, no duplicates, really consider the individual aspects. And in the form, you will have to indicate which is your preferred challenge. Yes. Is my connection still good? Just checking in. Okay. Yeah. Perfect. Okay. Yes, still in the groundwork. Sorry, I'm trying to reorganize this a little bit. Yeah, that's better. Sorry. So we have very precise evaluation criteria that were particularly developed by our partners for this call. These you will also find in the guide for applicants. And there you have them really detailed with text, so that you can make sure that you understand yourself what are the criteria by which you will be evaluated. And these criteria will also be used all over the board to make sure that we can guarantee equal measures for all applicants. So in the evaluation criteria, we are looking at different aspects. So first of all, we look at excellence in terms of the proposal. There we look as a first point at how much does this proposal and this profile fit the call and the challenge. So here we will see how well did you propose to the specific call. Then innovative potential, we are looking at water management questions, sustainability questions, and we're kind of looking at to what extent is there a certain attempt, a certain vision in creating creative or innovative approaches towards these aspects? How can we actually see that there is a clear attempt in that? Then we have an overall assessment of CV, portfolio, and reasoning of the application. Here we also consider the work that you upload as portfolio work and what is the profile of the artist and are they a good fit, and do we think that does it look like they are able to realize the project that they propose. Then we have implementation criteria. There we look at what kind of approach are you taking? What is the methodology that you suggest? What kind of research questions are you interested to? How are you going to work? Then the artistic vision for outcomes. So we want to see clearly that you can propose, even if this is a processual residency, that you can even at the start already envision, well, it could go this way, it could go this way, and this would be what I would come up with in the end as a result of the residency. And there we're also looking for innovation criteria, so to say. And then we are looking at overall feasibility. That has to do with budget, with work plan, that we see, does it look like this is realizable within the means that we are offering and the ways you say you will apply them. Last week, we have talked about the grant, and we have also talked about the details of that. So if you missed that session, it will be uploaded in the channels, so you can go to that one as well and review that, because that's important for this part. The third part is impact. And here we are looking at 3 different aspects of impact. What kind of influence could there be in terms of really engaging with community, changing the minds within different publics, or creating a better science literacy, a better eco-literacy? Is there any lasting effect on policy work? Will there be engaging public debate as a result? Yes, and then the same that we look at, okay, in terms of science, art, and tech, what is the impact? What are prototypes? What's interesting there? And what could be an ongoing ripple effect? To what extent would this project last, maybe even beyond its actual timeline? Okay, yes, one moment. So yeah, it is very important to understand that on the one hand, this is a processual collaborative research venture, but it is expected in the end that there is a presentable outcome, so that there is a demonstrable artistic work that addresses the topic of the challenge, because as explained in the beginning, we have a number of great opportunities for showcases, and we will be very excited to show your work there. It is also important to understand that next to creating the work, there's a number of contributions that we expect, that really the artists are willing to engage with the local setup, that they are also willing to work with the stakeholders that are there, and to in a collaborative way craft the project over time in the different phases. Then that the different challenges specifics are being respected, and that you coordinate these things with the host organization, because each host organization, together with their artists, can to a certain degree make their individual agreements of how they best work. So also, if you have questions on that, if you need more flexibility, or you want the timeline to be a little bit different, like this is something that you can arrange, or that you have to have communication with the host organization, of course. Genau, then yeah, that you make yourself available for intermediate meetings, and that you engage in the project activities that are defined and contribute to impact assessment analysis. So for instance, as I've mentioned in the last call already, we are having a summer school in Croatia, and all the artists are going to be invited to that, which we are very excited about. So this is already budgeted, but of course we expect the artists to make themselves available to join. So this would be one example. Regarding the evaluation process, again, the deadline is 26th of June. Then we have a jury days window, 15th to 19th of July. You can check per challenge. Some partners already have one specific jury day. Make sure that you save the date, because only 2 days in advance you might be informed that you are under the top 3 for this challenge, and you can pitch your project at the jury day, so that you know that this might happen. And so then we announce the final results on 26th of July. In terms of the process, we have eligibility criteria. I will talk about this in a moment. And we do an overarching eligibility check, where some of the proposals that do not fit the criteria or did not respect the application rules in some way, being sorted out. And then all the applications per institution will be handed to the institution, and the institution makes the top selection, and then together with the expert group for the challenge, they make the top 3. So this is, and there is a specific grid by which all proposals will be evaluated in this way, through point system that correlates with the evaluation criteria, so that it's very clear. And that's also when you see the proposal template, that's why the template is made in that way, so we can make sure everyone has the same information and everyone is set up for an equal assessment. Okay, here are the eligibility criteria. It's very important for me to mention that everyone can apply as long as you can travel to the country where you want to do the residency. So you do not have to be an EU citizen. This call is specifically geared towards artists. You can be an artist or you can be an artist collective, but not something else. So if you apply, you have to apply as an artist. This is also for ethical reasons, because there are a lot of opportunities. There are a lot of other opportunities, for instance, for researchers, but not so many opportunities like that for artists. So that's why we want to really keep it like this. Yeah, if you are already receiving a grant via the STARTS calls from 24 or 25, you will not be eligible as well. You also will be asked in the application form about that, and you have to make, you have to in the have to have enough to the portfolio, and you have data. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Now for the last minute there was no connection.
Yeah, I was informed. Okay. Yeah. Okay, let's see. I hope it's gonna stay stable. We have another 10 to 15 minutes. Okay. So this is also something I have already mentioned last time. There are different documents that you've heard the names of now for a number of times that you can use to prepare yourself. So on the one hand, you have the call guide on the website. This is from the website. And this is the guide for applicants. So when I said guide for applicants, this is where you find everything. If you have any questions, eligibility criteria, all of that is in the guide for applicants. So if you have questions, first look there. And then we have right next to it, the challenge catalog. Here you find all the challenge descriptions. And then of course you have the apply button. The application generally consists of a one-page CV that you can make individually for yourself as a PDF, but one page and maximum 5 megabytes. If you exceed the page, that counts as not eligible. So watch out for that. Then our proposal template, we have a template for that. That's a Word document, and you need to fill it in, and it can be maximum for 4 pages. There are also specifics on the font size and all of that. And then you get 1 additional page for visuals if you need them. These things, the CV and the proposal template, once it's finished, needs to be uploaded to our application form. The application form is the main home where your application lives, and you also have to fill in data into the application form. Yeah, and once you submit, you cannot change your application. So make sure that you have everything the way you want it before you submit, because we're not allowed to grant you any change after you submit it. Then within this JOT form interface of the application form, there are sections where you can insert your portfolio. We have sections there that ask about your work and your budget. We have a table for you already prepared that makes it more easy for you. There are several ways, 3 ways to get to the JOT form. You get there when you click on apply here. So if you click here, then you would get to the JOT form on the website. Or if you go to the lower side of the website, it comes again in the how to apply. There you can also click here on this link. Or in our guide for applicants, we also have this button, online application form. So that also guides you there. So those are the 3 steps how you get to our JOT form. What is asked in the JOT form? Administered information, your profile. We ask you a little bit about your background. Then, as I said, the portfolio submission through the form, through the JOT form. Your challenge proposal that you upload by filling in our template. And then there are some questions on your experience and your budget. And I'm now gonna shortly try, is my connection stable? Can you hear me well? Okay, then I'm going to try to get into the form to shortly show you what it looks like. Let's see if it's going to work. Can you see it?
Yes.
Yes, okay. So you see here general administrative information. And then here's your artist profile. And here you will see, for instance, this is part of the eligibility criteria. You need to have a VAT or something in that direction, nationality, country of residence, website, social media. And here, this is on terms of your experience. Have you collaborated in any capacity with scientists, technologies, or researchers before? If so, please provide details. Here is where you can upload your one-page PDF CV. And this is the portfolio submission. It works through the form. You get to present minimum of 2 and maximum of 3 works. Title, year, you can add a link. You can mention who are the partners that you collaborated with. Summarize the work. Explain the outcome, explain why you selected this as a reference. In the portfolio assessment, if you can, pick the works that mostly reflect how your profile fits this call or fits this challenge. You see, here's a second option. It's maximum 2. No. Yeah, there's only 2. Let's see, sorry, No, do you want to submit a third work? My apologies. My colleague made the form, so I know what's there, but I don't, yeah, so yes. So if you want to submit a third work, you can click yes, and it will not matter if you have 2 or 3. This is just an opportunity. This is not part of the assessment if it's 2 or 3. Yes, so if you want, you can apply for a maximum of 2 challenges. Is my connection still good? Yes, okay. Yeah, choice number 1. Then you put here the title of your proposal. Yeah, project title, and then the abstract of what you propose. And here is, and we get to that in a moment, where you will upload your proposal from our template that you can fill in. And I will talk about how we get there in a moment. Then you can here give an indicator if you're full-time or part-time available, but this is not part of the evaluation process. This is just for information. It doesn't matter in that regard, so don't worry about it. Here's the budget part. My colleague will in a moment talk about that. You see, you already have the table that makes it more accessible. If you want to apply for another challenge, you can click yes, and then you will be able to apply for a second one. Here are questions on your experience in this kind of STARTS framework. So this is particularly about the STARTS EU calls. And as you know, this is part of checking if you're eligible or not. And then there's declaration of consent, and that's it. And then I will try to go back. If I can. Yes, let's see. Okay, so this was about the application form. Now we get, as you see here, to the proposal template that I've mentioned a number of times. There are 2 ways to get to the proposal template, because I get a lot of questions on that. If you are in our JotForm application interface, there where you have to upload it, the link is there, but it's not clickable. If you copy paste it into your browser, the template automatically starts downloading into your downloads. That's, if you look, then it's there. Or on the bottom end of our call website, the same here that I showed you earlier, it is here, download the artistic proposal template. Those are the 2 ways to get to the template. The 3rd way is to ask me, and I send it to you if you cannot find it. Okay, now I wanted to go shortly over that. So we have 3 parts in this proposal template, and see, we have 3 parts, and these are made to correlate with the evaluation criteria. This helps you to write a really good proposal, and it helps the evaluator to ensure a fair process. The main indicator is always this black one. Do this. Provide a general project description and concept in response to the challenge. So this is what you have to do. This is what it is. And then you get a lot of information that is connecting to the evaluation criteria. So these are all things of, okay, you could think of these things and it will help you. This is what you have to do. Then that's really unfortunate. Can I minimize this? Okay. Sorry. All right. Okay, so the second part is implementation, and you can see the correlation with the evaluation criteria. Here we put the consider first. These are all the things that matter here. Then you get what you have to do. Provide a work, production, or implementation plan connecting your proposal to the challenge, project and residency specifics in the following 2 steps. Methodology. So describe the methodology of your research, provide details on how you plan to make use of the expertise and infrastructure provided by the residency partner, and then an implementation plan. Describe the activities and timeline of the project. Please make sure your timeline and project plan are aligned with the residency phases described in the guide for applicants. So this was why I said the methodology and phases are important to consider.
My God.
Of for then final media comes vision out and choose yourself right in here. So you have the template and you can write in there, and the template also gives you a guidance of where the 4 pages start and where the 4 pages.
Okay, we lost Charlotte again. Ramona, can you take over?
Hi, apologies for that. Yes, I don't have the slides here in front of me, but there is Charlotte back again.
Hello, how long was I gone?
Not long, for like
Not long?
but the connection was struggling again. So let's say last
Okay.
minute.
So the third part of the form, of the template. Yes. Okay. Give me a moment. Yes, I have to start sharing screen again. Oh yeah. Okay. Okay. Do you see it?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So this is really about the work a little bit more geared towards the outcome. And why is it relevant? What is the impact? How do you want to make a change in this context that you're applying for? Okay. Then I'm very happy that I just saw that Ramona is already here because we arrived at the budget part. Yeah, Ramona is a colleague of mine at Gluon. She's also one of the co-founders of Gluon, and she has a lot of experience. And yeah, do you want to advise on this part?
Yeah, sorry, Charlotte, we have quite a few questions in the chat. Would you like to answer now, or we will wait until the end of the financing?
Yeah, we have a Q&A at the end, so then we can try to get there, maybe. Because we are almost done, so we are now done. This is the last slide, and then comes the Q&A, so.
Okay, so hello everyone. I can give a brief introduction on the budget that we request for your application. It's for us to give or to get an insight in your plans and whether what you propose is realistic and is feasible in terms of budgets. So we have divided this into 4 categories. A is fees for yourself or the collective, and this cannot be more than 35% of the total grant amount. With fees, this is really the time that you put for your work into the residency and is considered your own personnel cost or your staff costs for your own personal work into the project. Then we have travel and subsistence. So you have seen, and I also saw it in the chat, that some host organizations request physical presence for the residency from time to time. There might also be some events. So depending whether you are already located in the country of residence where the residency will take place, or if you have to travel from time to time, you will need to take into account travel and subsistence costs to implement the residency and for the face-to-face meetings with the host organization of the residency. Then we have a third category called other goods, works, and services. These are really the production costs for you to actually make the work and do your artistic research. This can include the production of some prototypes, maybe the execution of some workshops that you want to do, everything that relates really to the realization of the final outcome. And then we have a fourth and final category, which is subcontracting. This considers any costs for you, for example, if you work with external coders or you involve other people from specific expertise that you don't have and that you need the expertise from a third party to help you in developing the artwork or specific parts of the artwork. We consider these as subcontracting costs. So the total of this can, of course, not be more than the total amount of the grant.
Okay, thank you, Ramona. And then we would go already into the Q&A, where I'm sure that there is a lot of questions